Hi, so can I ask, what is your name?
Hi, I'm Lucy Tyrrell.
And where are you based, Lucy?
I'm based in Surbiton and I have a treatment room at home, but I treat around London and into Surrey.
And how long have you been a Gala therapist for?
Now I had to think about that one. Um, about 8.5, 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Time
know.
flies.
It really does. It doesn't feel that long. It does in some ways, but not in other ways.
And what made you train with Gala therapy?
Um, it was a funny one. I knew I wanted a little bit of a big change in my career because previously I was a teacher. Um, and I knew that I wanted to work with dogs, but I wasn't sure. I knew I wanted that grooming and dog walking things, as much as they're great, that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do something therapeutic. So it started with Google. And I found, as so many things do, and I found back then, I mean, nowadays there are lots of providers. Back then there were a few, but not as many as there are now. And I read through the few that I could find and came across the Garland website. And I read it and I thought, wow, that sounds amazing, but I don't quite get how it works. So I ummed and ahed for a bit, and then I thought, actually, if you don't ask, you're not going to find out anymore. So I don't know if it was a phone call or an email, but I contacted Julia at the time, and told her my thoughts, and she kindly invited me down to for a day to just observe what she was doing, treating, various dogs. And, I had to sit there quietly and not engage with the dog because obviously they were in the treatment zone. And I just sat there thinking, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And my lasting thought was, if I could do anything even half like that, that's what I want to do. And so I signed up after that.
So exciting. And it's
Yeah.
been quite a journey. We've got another chat with you, haven't we, as well, coming up about how you work alongside vets and things, which is going to be brilliant. But
Hmm.
at the moment, what we're going to talk about is one of your case studies, so one of the dogs that you're working with at the moment.
Yeah.
So, who have you chosen to chat to us about?
Now, anyone who knows me knows that I've got Westies, but I promise this dog is not one of mine, even though mine do have treatments. This is a little Westie called Pablo. And Pablo, I mean, he's such a character as Westies are. But he was an interesting one because I was actually contacted by a behaviourist who I had done a couple of talks with previously, and she felt that Pablo, who can find it a little bit tricky and a bit stressful being around certain other dogs, she felt that as much as from a behaviour point of view, she needed to work with him on this, she thought that he wasn't quite right from a muscular point of view. She felt that there may be a little bit of discomfort in his back end, and she also felt that he wasn't able to kind of fully extend his neck. So, because she knew me and we chatted previously, she contacted me, and then we went through the normal channels of, speaking to the vet and getting vet consent. And that's how me treating Pablo came about.
Brilliant. You've got some pictures, haven't you, that you can share with us of
Yeah,
Pablo
absolutely.
and chat us through the case study that you did with him
So, this is where
and the
we just have to make
treatments.
sure everything plays ball. Right, that should be on, yeah, slide share mode. So, yeah, Pablo is a lovely boy, and he has the most amazing family because he has had quite a few challenges in his life with allergies, as well as being a little bit worried around dogs in certain situations. But his family's 100% behind him and do everything they can for him. But this was Pablo when I first met him.
How old is he?
Now I just thought you're going to ask me that, and it's gone off the top of my head, so I don't want to give the wrong age. So I'm not, but he's not really old and he's not really young. He's in the middle there. I'm sorry, I should have had that,
No,
but
no, that's fine.
just can't remember.
He doesn't look
Um,
elderly.
no, no, he's not, and he's this was him, like I say, when I first met him, and I'd obviously had the information that his neck could be, I'll show you in the next photo, it shows it even more, maybe quite overworked and really lacking some flexibility and movement. And that occasionally he would struggle from a movement point of view with his back end. So this is Pablo, like I say, when I met him, and the next two slides are also at the same time. She says, now it won't click. Hang on. There we go. So I thought
Oh,
this was a really good one here because as we can see, he's trying to look up. Well, he is looking up, but he's really had to lift his head and raise his eyes rather than actually extend his neck. And I felt looking around this area here, you can look at the coat pattern as well as, the musculature here. He's really quite overworked. And you can see that that flexibility that you'd hope to see in the neck and the shoulders really was quite reduced at this point.
really short neck, isn't it? You can see why they were worried about the neck extension.
Yeah, I mean, I was really thinking where the scapula would be, the shoulder blade and the neck. There's just no gap in between there, is it? It's really hard to distinguish the neck from the shoulders. So I thought that picture kind of um, really showed that. And again, here he is. Um, again, seeing in that neck area, we can just see that it's really quite short and overworked. So
Definitely.
those were some of his before images. His owners sometimes now say that he's got a giraffe neck because I think for them it was such a difference. And before I show you the after images, it's probably important to make a point about some of the things that they've noticed. They've noticed that he's crazy on walks. He charges around his garden. Um, he's got more energy. All of those things that I think when you see these next images, you'll begin to understand why.
Has his behavior to other dogs changed?
So, with regards to his behavior with other dogs, it's still something, as we all know, with these stressful situations, these worries that dogs can have, it takes some time. But he has been back to the behaviorist for, his review, if you like, and she felt that she could see a real difference in him, and he has now moved on to the next part of his kind of behavioral side of things. So that's not to say he doesn't find dogs stressful still in some situations, but she felt that they were able to move on to the next step because um, both his guardians and the behaviourist can see how much more comfortable he is.
Wow. What a neck.
Yes,
That's amazing. No wonder he's nicknamed a giraffe.
yeah,
That's
neck and the little ears, eyes,
incredible.
yeah,
So, and just looks happier, more relaxed in his face. His eyes look happier. That's
yeah.
incredible. Have you got any
I've got
other
some more.
pictures?
We keep going on. Again, just to show that length again, his
Yeah,
body, everything's longer. You know, it's such a contrast to what he was.
yeah. Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, really able to kind of look up, and you'll see this next one. I think he was sniffing up on, I mean, the difference when we were talking about that gap here,
Yeah.
between the shoulder and, he's got a proper neck.
That's incredible. So he looks happier, he looks more relaxed. And the fact that he's, able now to move on and be more comfortable in his body and move
Hmm.
on with his behavior training is just huge.
Yeah, and actually, if we go on a couple of slides, oh, there he is again. You can see that length that wasn't there. Just a couple. I've got a couple here of contrasts.
Mm.
And then I've also got, because with him, as I do with all the dogs I treat, I use the Garland Comfort Scale. I'm going to also show you the change he's made in that.
Mm.
So
That would be
before and
wonderful.
after. Again, the left photo is the same, but a before
Yeah,
and
that's
after.
huge. Look at him. You
Yeah,
can really see his head's almost forward a little bit more as well. It's just his whole being is just happier.
yeah, definitely. And then this is quite profound, I feel.
Oh,
So that's his change in his comfort scale result.
that's incredible.
Hmm.
So do you still see him for maintenance treatments?
Yes, yeah, I still see him. Um, and we're finding our sweet spot. Do you know what I mean? You will know exactly what I mean. We know if we've left it a little bit too long, um, and we adjust things. But yes, he's being seen for maintenance. He's continuing with his behavior work as well. And he's just, well, as we can see from this result, he's just a more comfortable dog. And I think That's why I really like to use the comfort scale, because that's quite a profound difference. But any change in that comfort scale can only be good for our dogs. And as we know, it doesn't just have an effect on their physiological self. You know, Pablo is your prime example of a more comfortable dog means that psychologically they're going to be more ready to deal with things, or more ready to kind of progress in those other areas of their world. So yeah,
And adapt to their environment and not be so worried about things because they feel it's like us, isn't it? If you've got a bad neck or a bad back, you'll do the essentials in life, but you won't do any extras.
no,
And you feel you get overwhelmed quite quickly. So from a human perspective, I think if we just think about it sometimes from that human perspective and just think about, what impact it might have on our dogs, it does give us a good idea. But also having that comfort scale and that change in that percentage, it gives you a real, a really nice, measurable way of looking at things, which is just
absolutely.
fantastic.
And we've got more that we're going to do with him. He's started with some of our functional biomechanic exercises
Excellent.
that he's doing really well with, and we're going to develop those as and when he's ready. So we want to keep him happy and healthy and mobile, and hopefully not find the world too stressful by giving him treatments and exercises as and when.
Oh, Lucy, what an incredible case study. Thank you so much for sharing Pablo with us.
No,
And
not
thanks to his guardians as well for letting us see him,
yeah.
because it just also shows what a brilliant symbiotic relationship it is when we start to work with trainers and behaviorists who
Mm.
can actually spot these differences and spot when a dog is maybe in discomfort or pain, and that's impacting on them as well. So having that brilliant approach that we have where we can work the multimodal approach where we can work with other people, it
Mm.
just gives us a fantastic way forward to help the dogs, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we all have our areas, don't we, of expertise. And actually, when we bring a few of those people together, we're really getting the best outcome for the dog.
It really are. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? The best outcome for them.
Absolutely. It is.
Thank you so much for sharing, Pablo, Lucy. And hopefully, I'm sure we'll catch up again on one of your fascinating case studies. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Hello, Lucy. Thank you so much for putting a small amount of time in your very busy schedule to talk to me. Now, what I really wanted to talk to you about today
Mm.
is how the process and the history behind you now working within, as part of your working week, a veterinary practice, which is really exciting. So, could you perhaps take us through some of the events that led up to this amazing opportunity?
Yes, absolutely. So, the vet practice, which is called Pet People, was a new practice.
Mm.
It was an independent practice in my local area. And obviously, being an independent practice in my local area, I had already been working within, if you like, the community, treating a lot of those dogs. Some of which, well, they were all going to various vets in the area.
Mm.
However, one of the vets in question was working out of his home, actually, I think, in a treatment room as such in his garden. And I was treating a couple of his canine clients,
Yeah.
if you like. So we knew of each other
Mm.
like that. And we had the working relationship you'd expect with regards to, vet consents, vet reports, occasionally conversations. We had one particular dog that threw up a few challenges that we needed to make sure we got right. And we would, pop emails between each other just to make sure we were on the same page and sharing that information about that dog.
So really having a very functional and functioning working relationship, but also, and importantly, and I know this is what you're probably going to glide over, some fantastic results from your treatments in connection with this vet and of course others subsequently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's having those results for those dogs,
Mm.
and also some of the feedback I got from them was from the fact that the dog's guardians felt very comfortable with me and felt
Wonderful.
confident with me, treating their dogs. So I suppose not that I can speak for a vet, but I suppose from a vet's point of view, by having the results with the dogs, but also with the owners the guardians having that confidence, that was, really important to them.
Yeah. Quite a lot of evidence there.
Yes, and they knew that they were going to be opening this big practice in the local area, where a lot of people, it's where I live, it's where people know me and my dogs as well. So I think they were always going to be kind of part of my local community. And then moving forward, it was great that I could be kind of part of theirs too.
But I do know, and again, you'll gloss over this because you are very self-facing about all your amazing results. You work with a lot of vets in your area, so you have developed a really good relationship and a really good reputation in the area, haven't you?
Yes, I like you said, it's always really hard to say it when you say it about yourself. But yes, absolutely. And I think the way that veterinary medicine is moving nowadays, compared to maybe when I first qualified, I've just been chatting to Cushla about that kind of 9 years ago. The great thing is we're looking at the dog as a whole. So it's not that you do one thing or the other. It's actually that if we all work together, be that vet, myotherapist, behaviorist, whatever it might be, we all have our areas of expertise, obviously all with the vet, over the top of it all. But we can all bring in our little bit. So actually, if we all work together, we're going to do better for the dog. It's not a one or the other. Neither of us could kind of do the full thing without the others.
Exactly. And this is a lovely thing that now you've got this relationship with this vet and other vets that have led on to them having the confidence in you to invite you to be part of that multimodal team, which is, as you quite rightly say, for us, that is the golden ticket, isn't it? If we can provide dogs this amazing multimodal team, but of course being within a veterinary environment too just adds that cherry on top, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you will always say, and I you said it from day one, it always comes back to the dog. If you're ever questioning anything, go back to the dog. So with that at the forefront, it's absolutely the way that we should be looking to kind of help our canine, friends.
Absolutely. Lucy, thank you very much for just giving us a small insight how you develop your relationship, because I know you've got other relationships with other paraprofessionals in the area too, which you've worked very hard at, and again you work very authentically with, which I think you're a real example of how we want to work and how we would love to work. And I just want to thank you on behalf of the dogs for all the amazing work you do for them. And you're based in South, I never get exactly South London,
West.
East,
yeah,
West.
Southwest London.
I know where you are, but I've no idea. I couldn't drive there. No,
you couldn't. No, you'd need a map. No, Southwest London. And I do most of my treatments at home, but obviously for those dogs that need it, I go out to them. But yeah, Southwest London, Surrey.
Well, we're going to very much look forward to speaking to you again when you could then give us a bit more detail about what you do and how you work within this practice, because that is fascinating, really fascinating. But for now, thank you very, very much for your time. Really interesting. And we look forward to catching up with you another time soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.